This is We Burlesque.
Hi there, this is Mr. Valdez.
Hey there, this is Hank E. Panky.
Hi, this is Maggie McMuffin. This is Rita D. Levine.
Hi, this is Moxie Blue, and you are listening to the We Burlesque podcast.
This is We Burlesque, the podcast, and I am your host, Viktor Devonne, and through the miracle of fiber optics, I get to talk to nightlife and burlesque professionals, and today is no exception. I have, all the way from Arkansas, the depths of Arkansas, just in time for Halloween, I have Kevin Honey-Bunz. Hello, hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. Happy Halloween.
Happy
How
Halloween.
How are you feeling this autumnal season?
Good, a lot going on, but we're making it. Feeling the pressure of all the shows I have coming up. So
I bet. Is this the busy time?
yeah, I feel like once Tulsa Burlesque Festival happened last year, then this year it just kind of shoots you into like that season.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm doing more stuff than normal, so it's exciting.
Good. Have you always been an ooky-spooky appreciator?
Oh yes, yes.
A big
Since I
Halloween
was
trick-or-treater?
Yes, yes. Yes,
What
been
were
many
what were
things.
some of the formative costumes that led the way?
Oh gosh. Okay. So I remember what my grandma sewed for 60 years. And so she made a lot of her stuff. And one year I was the basic like ghost with the sheet, but it was like fancy because it was like all cut up and stuff. But
Ooh.
and then I was a vampire one year, like the next year, I think. I don't know. I've always been into spooky stuff because I was on your movies that make us ooky spooky. And
Mm-hmm.
I talked to, if you go listen to that, you can hear me talk about when I first discovered Freddy Krueger. You know,
Was
at
was
like
that
five.
a formative time? Did that tell you that there were people like you out there, or was it more of Robert Englund?
Yeah, that. And then as I got older and I got more into like my teen years, and I met people who like stuff like me, and then I got like in my 20s and then started doing burlesque, and then I met people who were like doing things I really liked, but then they were like doing it on stage and taking their clothes off, and I'm like, okay, this is fun.
You were able to wrap that into the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, here we are.
I mean, I was talking to your troop mate Penny Slane
Yes.
at a previous episode, and we talked about how sort of the being attracted to the Halloween uh, aesthetic and being somewhat goth and being sort of left of center really lent itself to burlesque because it's all just a masquerade. It's all just costumes. And a lot of horror movies are based on like the same kind of tropes and the same kind of archetypes, and it really lends itself. Would you say that that's a fair assessment in your
That is
journey?
very, very fair assessment.
You recently did a werewolf act. I saw it in
Yes,
Tulsa. How long have you been
yes.
doing that?
Okay, that act is there's a whole story behind that act. So
Sure.
where shall we begin? Let's start at the beginning. Okay, so in our troupe, a lot of times for the holidays, we will do glittery Secret Santa, and each one of us gets somebody else in the troupe, and the whole rule is we have to make the present. So, and we have to stay in a budget. None of us are good at that, but we have to make the gift, whatever it may be. So one year, Moxie Cyanide got me, and we do a lot of duets together. And we had talked about doing like some kind of like Little Red Riding Hood werewolf thing, but you can't just do that because that's just too basic. You have to make it your own. So we had talked about that, and that never really happened. Well, then she got me for the Christmas thing or the holidays. And so she made this wolf costume, and she got a wolf head. It just goes over the top of my head. And then she bought a rug and she dyed the rug. And I got that as a gift. And then we started working on a duet. And then I added, so we made it to where the rug snaps to the hood and all that kind of stuff. And then over time, I've kind of added stones to the wolf. And so we did a duet. It's on YouTube, but True Grit and Grand Burlesque. And we were kind of like, she is the moon. We were lovers in the past, anyways. they were cast apart or whatever. And
Mm.
so only on the full moon, some special moon every whatever 1,000 years, we had this little story. It comes around. Well, we did that. Well, then I decided I will make this wolf costume into a solo at some point. And I sat on that for like 2 years. I was just like, man, I just don't have a song. Still don't have a song, kind of forgot about it. One day I was on TikTok of all places, and was it Rose from Drag Race posted some video and she used this audio, and it was that wolf song that I used. And I was like, what is this? I went on the interwebs and found it, and I found a remix of it. And then I had our sound guy add more howls, and I was like, this is fun. And it has like a Vogue beat, and I'm like very into all that. And so that's kind of how that act came along. And I did it the first time this year in March.
Mm.
So I've not been doing it too long, but the costume has been around for like 3 years, 4 years. So
Sometimes it requires like all of these things to sort of fall into place. You need the song, you need the costume, you need the choreography, and then you sort of need to put it all together.
You do. And with this act too, like a lot of people help me with the costume because I can't use a sewing machine, but I can like hand sew and I can modify things. But like one of my friends sewed the skirt, I cut the skirt, like the panels, I did all that. Penny Slane made the harness, Moxie made the base of the costume, and it's just it's come from a lot of love. So that's why that act's very special to me. So
Well, you mentioned True Grit and Grind, the troupe. Is that
yes.
fairly indicative of how y'all work? Is it very collaborative and very
Yes. So we actually, this is our 10th year anniversary as the troupe this year. August, thank you. August 23rd was our like first show. It is. We all work together. Like, when you work with people, you obviously learn like everyone's strengths, everyone's weaknesses, and we all are very different. We have similarities, but we all have our strengths. So we all kind of help each other. Like right now, some stuff I'm working on tonight, I'm about to hand off something to Penny to finish sewing because I can't look at it anymore. I was like, I need you to finish this. There's like 15% left. Please take it away, please, before I throw it away. So, but yeah, we all work together really well. You kind of have to if you're going to work with people. If not, it's no fun. So.
Are you basically the choreographer of the group?
Yes and no. I mean, everyone kind of like comes up with their own little stuff, but like when we do group acts, I do kind of like take control. So, but everyone has ideas, and I listen to everyone. But normally I'll have like a base choreography, and we'll kind of like go from there and make it work with how everyone can dance and stuff. So, because we love group acts, it's so fun.
Is there a director or a person in charge, or are all of you sort of ecumenical?
Yeah, we are. So the troupe leader is Beatnik Betty.
Okay.
And then I'm I guess second in command, but it's never like when we make a decision about like whether it's a show theme we're gonna do or like a group act or who we're gonna maybe book for a show, that's kind of always like we talk to each other about it. Betty's not just like, hey, this is who we're having, that's how it's gonna be. It's not like that. It's definitely like very ran, like we're a democracy and we all vote on things and like,
it's a cheerocracy.
It is a cheerocracy, literally. It's a bureaucracy, literally. So yeah, we all like just kind of flow well together. I know, I mean, but we've all like Betty and I have been in it since the beginning. So we've known each other over 10 years. And the troupe was founded by her and Bang Bang Bloom, who she's now in New York. But I started as a guest the first 2 shows. I was like blue balling them. So I was like, oh, I can't join. I'll just do a show. I'm in college and I'm working 2 jobs because and I just didn't know how much time it was going to take. And then I did a show and had a lot of fun. And then I did another show and we rehearsed at the studio I teach at. So like I was already there. So then I officially joined at the 3rd show, I guess. So
you were
been
a dancer first.
Yes.
When did that start?
Out the womb. No. So when I was little, I always danced around and everywhere. Like I have 3 younger brothers, and I would always make them like dance with me, and I'd choreograph like numbers to NSYNC and stuff. But I didn't get put in dance class till I was like 13 because I'm in Arkansas. We're in the Bible Belt. When I was little, it was still very much like, oh, your kid was gay. That was not the happening thing. And
Mm.
so I think they were kind of afraid, or whatever. And so, but then finally, as I turned 13, I met this girl in school. We were really good friends, and she danced, and she's like, "You need to come and dance class with me." And so I finally got to do it, and it was ever since then. Here we are, 20 years later, and I started teaching dance after I graduated high school. So I've been doing that for like 15 years.
What kind of dance are we talking here?
So I teach hip hop, and then I do like 3 and 5 year old ballet and tap, and then I do like little hip hop jazz type stuff with all those other ages. So
And I'm assuming that this would have to be not only fulfilling in some capacity, but a great deal of endurance, because dealing with kids first of all, I can't no thank you, but it's just not my cup of tea. But then to also be able to instruct and also be a mentor, I would imagine would be fulfilling, but also, a grind, as it were.
yeah, it can be. I mean, there has been, I think when you do anything for so long, no matter how much you love it, no matter what it is, you're going to have times where you're like either burn out from it or whatever. And there has been some times it's happened, but I just try to like look back on like moments that have been really special to me. And like, when I was in dance, that kind of like saved my life a lot. Because I didn't have the greatest home life. I mean, I don't know a lot of people who did necessarily, but that was my escape, was dance. And so then when I started teaching, I just poured myself into that. And I was going there like especially when I was in college, I was teaching like 5 nights a week, and I still am teaching a lot now, but it was like, it helped me find who I was or whatever. That was like my chosen family there for a long time. And they still are. Like, my boss is like, I call her mom. I've known her for a long time. She was my first dance teacher. And then when she opened her studio, I went there in my senior year, and then I started teaching. So it's a lot of fun. I don't know. I have a lot of patience because little kids, they're funny. You just every kid is different for sure.
Do you see yourself in them? Do you say like, oh God, that's little Kevin over there?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Or like, yeah, if I had a kid, that's what they're gonna be like.
Yeah.
So for sure.
Were you born in Arkansas?
I was born
Where
and
in
raised here in
Where in
Fort Smith.
Arkansas? Fort Smith.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about the geography and the home life of Fort Smith.
Well, for a long time we were like the second largest city. We are not anymore. Um, for those people who don't know, when they're like Arkansas or Fort Smith, I'm just like, we're like an hour-ish, a little away from like where Walmart was born. So
Okay.
it's like, yeah, so and people are like, oh, okay, I know where that is, like in Bentonville or whatever. So, Arkansas, we're in the River Valley. So we're in like a little valley. So like sometimes the weather, like in the winter, it's cold, but like if it snows, it doesn't. And then if it's gonna snow, it gets in that little pocket and we get stuck and everything shuts down. That's what happened like last year because people freak out over here. And it's a little, Fort Smith, a lot of people like that are my age left a long time ago. Most of the people I went to school with are gone and stuff. I stayed because I used to want to leave, and then I kind of realized, hey, it's cheap to live here, and I can just travel and do things. And so that's kind of what I've done. But it's there's definitely people trying to make it a little more hip or whatever, because like the Bentonville area, I was talking about Walmart, that has a lot of money up there. So it's very artsy. And we have done this thing for several years called the Unexpected Project. And artists come in and they paint like on the side of the buildings and stuff. And that helped bring a lot more life to downtown and stuff. So I like it. It's quiet, it's definitely more diverse than it used to be.
It's a military town. Yes, there are a number of.
Yeah, yes. We have the military base, and then they're bringing in like this. Oh, it's from I think Singapore or somewhere. They chose us to be where they're gonna do like flight training or something. I don't exactly know what. Don't quote me on any of that. But that's coming in. That's supposed to bring in more people and more like stimulate our economy a little better here. So that'll be interesting to see if that helps us grow up. And then we've started there's like a film festival that we have here, the Fort Smith Film Festival. It just had its second year. And they have they're trying to do more film stuff around here because Bentonville has a big film festival too every year that I think Gina Davis is a part of. So It's coming up, slowly but surely. I have hope that like it'll get more and more artsy and open-minded. Oh, one of my friends had said to me several years ago, um, I'm really glad that y'all have stayed here and done burlesque. They were like, because most of the cool people leave to go do cool things, but if all the cool people leave, nothing cool will ever happen. And I'm like, and that just has really stuck with me. And so here we are, 10 years of burlesque in Fort Smith. There's still people who don't know, but it's coming around,
Yeah.
Penny
Slane did a TikTok recently talking about blue laws.
Yes,
what are
yes.
your help the audience at home? What are your restrictions?
Okay, so our restrictions, it's a very gray area, but here's what we do. And this is if you're going to do burlesque in Arkansas, this is what you should do to not ruin it for everyone else. And just also not for yourself. I feel like if you're going to do something, you need to do your homework and make sure you're doing it the right way. But, if you're a female presenting, if you have to have your underboob covered. So that's the under part of the boobs. If you don't know, it's like Penny says in her little video, it's like the bottom of a Pokeball, like Pokemon. So, but you have to wear pasties. I always wear pasties just for solidarity. And because I feel like if I'm going to do it, I should follow the same exact rules they are. You have to have your vortex covered. So like the tailbone part of your butt. A lot of times we'll do fishnets just to help with coverage to make sure that way you don't have to like wear shorty shorts. You can still wear like your underwear that's pretty skimpy, but you're more covered. You're not supposed to take money. Like, drag, you can take money from the audience, but we cannot take money while we're stripping.
Interesting.
Get you in trouble.
Because of the state of undress.
Yes. And because of the alcohol laws and all that stuff.
So I'm assuming you don't have like a go-go boy culture.
They've tried. I know it's been done here and there, but I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, you can't really like put money in them. You're not supposed to, I don't think. Because it's just, I don't know. It's a very gray area thing. It's just like when we started doing shows, we had to go to like the street crimes, the police department, and they had to like approve us. And like the venues have to have approval. And it doesn't cost them any money. It's just basically be like, hey, cross your T's, dodge your I's type of situation or whatever. And we had to show videos of us like performing that we were blue wall covered and stuff like that. So it's really, I don't know, it is interesting. And that's why when I go out a different state and I'm like, ooh, I can get more, I don't have to wear fishnets if I don't want to, So it's kind of nice.
Well, because you are featuring the hind quarter quite a bit. I mean, it's in the name, isn't it? Where does the name Honey-Bunz come from?
Okay, so my name has went through many transformations. When I first started doing burlesque, I didn't know what my name was going to be. I just went by Mr. Kevin.
Okay.
Because that's what I was known at. I mean, I teach dance, so everyone calls me, actually, the kids call me Miss Kevin a lot, and that's really funny. And so
that's dance teacher culture, right? They usually do that. Yeah.
Correct. And I mean, I've been teaching dance for 15 years now, and I'm still the other day, one of the 3-year-olds, Miss Kevin, can I go to the bathroom? I'm like, yes, you can. I don't correct them. I have a hoodie that says Miss Kevin on it because it's a running joke at the studio. But anyways, so I started Mr. Kevin, and then I wanted something, so it was Mr. Kevin Honey, and then I dropped the Mr. eventually, and then it was just Kevin Honey, and one day I was just like, God, my name is just so plain. Like, I just was like, I needed to like talk about something that I'm known for. And I was like, well, I can shake my ass really well. And everyone says I have a nice butt. So I was like, we'll do buns, but I spell it with a Z. And so that was in 2020 when I changed that, like right before the pandemic. I had decided I was changing my name. And every year there was this big little fundraiser thing called Spa City Sweethearts. And I remember it was like the second night. And I was like, yo, I think I'm going to change my name. And they were like, make sure no one else has that name. So we were all like researching backstage. And I think it was Doris Knight came up to me and she's like, change it, do it. So I did. And I added the buns. And then like a couple months later, I did a photo shoot with a bunch of Honey-Bunz around me. And and now I've noticed the last few shows I've done in different states and stuff, people have been calling me like the Buns. So that might become a nickname for me. I don't know.
I do refer to you as Buns, don't I?
Yeah, a lot of people don't. You're not the only one, though. A lot of people have been doing it recently. Like, I did a show in Oklahoma City, and they were like, the Buns. So I like
I
it
think
though.
because while it works together as a full name, Kevin Honey-Bunz is it's adorable actually.
Yes.
But Kevin is a sort of plain on its own. So if I'm going to shorten it, I need to pick the most exciting part
Yes.
of the triad. So yeah.
I love that.
Hey there, this is Viktor Devonne, and I don't actually want to talk to you about Green Chef. I don't really want to talk about mattresses or Squarespace or even BetterHelp, and I'm sure they're all great, but I would really prefer not to tack on ads for these and other companies in the middle of Season 7, We Burlesque podcast episodes, or any of the other series that appear on the network. You can help me out by avoiding doing that by throwing a few dollars to the Patreon or via Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App via the links in this description. It'll really help me out. I am abundantly grateful to our current Patreon subscribers. That would be Curly Bright, Bella LeBlanc, Oliver Swisky, Bear Anatomy, Sebastian Crane, Logan Laveau, Joyce Phipps, Andrea Barra, Alex Colode, Low Britches, Amy Blair, Stormageddon, Emma Story, Rex Halligan, Lori, Miss Sprawling Beauty, and Courtney. Thank you so much. You can also find us at patreon.com/WeBurlesque or go to the show notes and find any of the methods to pay me digitally. Thank you so much. Just when you are performing, do you feel that your core is the butt as your main feature?
Yes, and I also think my like eye contact and stuff, like my facials. But yeah, everyone that's when I like drop it down and shake my butt. When in doubt, shake it out, I don't know.
Right. Well,
So,
when did you learn that about yourself? So as you said, you were late to dance. Most people
yeah,
again start at like 2, 3, 4 as your
right.
students are, and then you gain potentially confidence through that. When did you say, you know what? I am not only good at what I do, but now I can work my body into an entertainment realm.
I've always been down to try things. So my senior year, I did competitive dance. I did a solo or whatever, and that gave me a lot of confidence, and it was really fun. And then that was not long after that, like I guess a year later, I turned like 21 or so, somewhere around there. And I knew someone who knew Betty. True Grit and Grime was not around yet.
Mm-hmm.
They were just doing a variety show, and they were wanting some burlesque. They were wanting a male that just to, have a variety of things. And so one of my friends like, oh, I know Kevin, he dances. And so I like went to their job and I did my little hip hop solo in the conference room of La Quinta hotel. And then they were like, hey, do you think you could also do like some burlesque? And I'm like, well, I've seen the movie because the movie had like came out, and I was like, but I don't know if that's like really it. And they're like, no, here's a little book and whatever, and here's some things. And then I remember I was like, all right, so I like made a costume. It's awful, horrible. I danced to "Sexy and I Know It" by LMFAO. It was so bad, and it was so bad. I'm just gonna take that out of my mind. So that was 2011.
It's a learning curve. Sometimes
it is, but I had fun, and it was fun. And then Betty, they moved away for a little bit, like. They went off to do burlesque elsewhere, and then when they came back, that's when they formed True Grit and Grind with Bang Bang Bloom before they had the girly show. But I never got to go into that because I was too young. So I guess getting back on track, I did that, and then they formed True Grit and Grind, and so I was confident in my body, and so I did all that. Then as I did more burlesque, I think I just kind of realized what parts of my body look the best. And obviously, since I've danced for so long, it's my legs. And in the most recent time, I started jogging last November, like pretty regularly, and that just amplified. I think because you do something for so long, your body gets kind of stagnant with it. So I added something new, and it was like, whoa, what are you doing? And now I'm like, okay, it's a buns forever. So, because I do like my legs look good, and so that's something I really like about myself. My asset, you know.
Well, when you are performing, do you feel that there is an expectation of masculinity, or do you just basically say, you know what, audience, this is what you're going to get, and not worry about it?
Yeah, so that's a
Because
good
your
question.
Lestat is pretty butch. I'll say that.
It is, and I've literally had somebody refer to me. Actually, it's Maxi Fauna. Shout out, they're an Arkansas burlesque performer. They, I did the acts, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, you were giving me goth daddy realness when you crawled on the ground. It was like a truck tire spinning out," and I was like, "That's awesome." So that act is I am very masculine. I've had other people too. They're like, and I'm wearing well, I'm wearing like platform heels on that, but it still gives off this very masculine energy,
Mm.
which that act really taught me to like love my masculine side a little more. Um, Not to get off topic too much, but that's one thing
No.
I've struggled with is people especially in the gay community, I'll just say it.
Hmm.
It's people either want you very masc or they want you very femme, I feel like, for the most part, especially if you're dealing with the DL dudes and all that stuff. But I don't identify as like super masc or super femme. Sometimes I have acts that are more feminine, and then I have acts that are more masc, but I just feel like it's whatever mood I'm kind of in. And so I had to really learn that it doesn't matter what anyone else likes, it's how you feel about yourself. And so I've just now started using my acts as like an outlet of how I'm feeling. Lately, I've been feeling a little more, I don't know, I'm working on some new stuff and it might be a little more thin, but I'm still keeping the beard. That's not going anywhere, because I would like to see more representation of, male performers with body hair. That's something I
Yeah.
don't see a lot of, especially around here. I got to go to a burlesque festival. I went to Show Me, and there were some males, but there was only like one other male that had body hair, and him and I like kind of kikied about that. And he was like, "It was cool to see another male on stage that looks like me." I was like, "Yes, it's great.
Yeah.
It's nice to feel seen." So
Well, that's the thing, is that as long as you come from it as a place of authenticity, like I'm sure I don't actually, I think I've spoken to Faggoty Randy about um his aesthetic, which is very smooth, very Ken
mhm.
doll. Like you just like it's just like you just slide right off him.
Yeah.
And I can that but that works for him, and that absolutely makes sense for what he is. And I think that there a variety, if we're going to have a variety in bodies, we're going to have a variety in gender and a variety in um ethnicities. Absolutely, we need to recognize that there are going to be all kinds of presentation. So I think you rock it pretty well, especially when you're howling. That wouldn't
Thank
make
you.
sense. That wouldn't make sense if you were super smooth. So
Right, I'd be a twink wolf. I don't know, like I would, yeah. And so, yeah, because that act is kind of messed too, but then that act has a very, like, it flows very
you
dance
drop
wise.
it and then you duck walk. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
suggesting that duck walking is inherently feminine, but there's a
No,
level
yes,
of blending.
there is, and I throw a lot of hands in that act too. So, yeah, yes.
Do you besides, do you have a dance mentor that you still work with, or are you basically leaning on all of your years of previous training?
Um, no. So my boss at the dance studio, I've went to her for. I just asked her about something the other day about some move we were trying to put in something, not for burlesque, but it was for the studio. But she has given us advice before in different things. Always just been very supportive. And then there's other teachers I've asked stuff to, but I guess for the most part, when it comes to burlesque, I just kind of lean on the troupe. And then I have friends I've made like in different things, just learning as I kind of go. Like,
Mm.
hey, one thing I didn't know for a long time until I met you at Tulsa was keeping my pasties on with the alcohol wipes. Okay, I literally have not lost a single pasty since then because of that. So, but
That's the
but
fun of festivals and backstage, is you just learn these
yeah,
tips. Yeah.
right. It's been really nice to get to do that. But local wise, it's just just leaning on I guess the troupe as a support and stuff. So
Are you
and
the
just
only
kind
guy
of
in
what I
town?
know. Um, for a long time, Yes.
Okay.
And then there is, I'm not the only one in Arkansas. He is now retired, but shout out to Piss Power Bottom. But other than that, for a while it was just him and I, and there's also some other people kind of come and go or whatever. I won't mention everyone's names, but and then for a little bit, I just felt like it's kind of me. But now there's like this crossover of noticing of like drag kings doing more kind of
Mm-hmm.
boylesque type stuff or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, which is really awesome. And so it's just kind of like it's more now. So I'm kind of like trying to put myself back out there to kind of be like, hey, look, we're over here too, you know. So we can all work together. We should.
Mm-hmm.
So,
You said off the record that you are sometimes mistaken for that what you do is drag. Is that because people don't
yeah,
understand what burlesque is, or they just assume?
I think it's a little bit of both. Um, you know, because there is like draglesque and stuff. You
Sure.
know, I could very well do that, but that's just not that's I don't choose to. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just doing burlesque. So I think it's just people not knowing, and then I think two people just assume automatically when you say you perform something that's not like I'm like, oh hey, I do burlesque and we have shows here. They're like, oh, that's where they do drag, so you must just do drag. I'm like, no, it's not drag, but they're similar, but it's
It's
not.
close, yeah.
I'm as a male and I'm showing a little more skin. So
Yeah. I had
you
so
know,
we moved recently and I had
hmm
the people who were bringing in our furniture, they saw my closet, which is a colorful menagerie. And they the person says like basically assumed I must be a magician. They hoped they wondered if that's what they actually said, are you magic? And I was like, no, not exactly, but I am an entertainer. But then again, yes, I am also magic.
yeah.
Um,
No, we are magic, but that's funny. It is. Other people just I think they just don't know, and some people too also have a when you say, "Oh, I do burlesque," even if you're like female identifying, people still have a like an idea of what they think that is.
mhm.
You know, because we're more the troupe I'm in. We're more neo burlesque too, so that's a whole other different little
And tell me about that.
subset. I
What
feel
does that
like.
mean for you?
I think for me it means like getting to whatever the fuck I want. So, it's getting to like because with neo burlesque, I think that's more character based in a sense. At least to me, it is. I like to tell a story, which you can
Mm,
do that with classic burlesque. I'm not saying you can't, but I just feel like with neo burlesque, it gives me more of this freedom to like get all these crazy ideas out of my mind and create like some kind of character. Like, I got to my vampire act, I have a whole little story behind that and like I tell a whole story in it. And then, the wolf act's kind of becoming the same way. And there's some other acts I have where I just like to have some type of a story. So I think for me, neo burlesque is just being able to tell a story and creating some kind of character, whether that character be like a person or maybe you're like trying to like make a character out of an emotion. Because
mhm.
sometimes dance is a way, performing. There's been times where that's helped me heal from something. Because I like to do acts too. I like to make people cry. So, I've done some
I
stuff
do
with
too.
Moxie Cyanide, and we've got to work on a music video a couple years ago with a local band called TBH, and we did it was like domestic violence, and that wasn't burlesque, but I got to like take all the stuff I've learned and like we got to do something that was really special. So yeah, I guess to be neo burlesque is just getting to kind of be weird and create your art and just have fun.
It's so funny to me because again, I know in terms of burlesque and in terms of a lot of art forms, we like to section off and box them and give them like
Hmm.
these variations. This is why there are so many like Grammy categories, is because there's so many
Hmm.
variations. But a part of that is, I guess, because if we don't see the representation in the mainstream, we create these sort of subsets or these appendices to sort of feature that inclusion. Um, but classic is so it's going to Behalf and talking to legends and being able to see, let's hear their stories. It's so funny because they would talk about being topless, or they would talk about not wearing G-strings, or they would talk about these sort of high concept acts. And a lot of that we would now view through the lens of, oh, well, that would count as neo burlesque, because I don't even know what classic burlesque means anymore, except for when folks mean like Marilyn Monroe style.
Right.
It's odd.
Yeah, it is.
And I don't even know what neo counts as anymore, but
No, I feel like it's all just burlesque, honestly. It's just
yeah.
because I know a lot of people, that if they're male identifying, they're just like, oh, I'm not a boylesque dancer, I'm just a burlesque dancer. I've had people ask me, I don't really care. You can refer to me as either one. I'm really just an entertainer. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I eschewed the term boylesque for a long time. I didn't really get it. I thought it was stupid. But that was like, I've been doing this 17 years. That was like the first 3-4 years somebody mentioned it to me. And I found it othering. And I found it kind of rude, honestly, because the people who would say it would sort of treat me as if I wasn't doing the same thing that the women on stage were doing. And I was like, I don't love that. I don't love that. Eventually I've learned to appreciate it. I think that it's a fine word. I don't think it's the end all. I think it's excellent marketing. And I know that, and people that I respect very highly use it very effectively, like Tigger, who is sort of one of the first people that one thinks of when they think of what boylesque really is.
I have seen him live, and it's amazing.
He is fabulous. He is fabulous.
Yes.
Are there a number of folks who make their way as guest performers that you get to see locally, or do you mostly see your cross section at traveling shows?
Yeah, traveling, and then we've had a few people here and there that have done stuff in the festival circuits, but for the most part, I've met more like well-known people like going to festivals and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
The troupe did all take a little trip in January. We all went to Dallas, and we went and saw Dita's show. And so that was kind of cool to see that type of burlesque, because it doesn't come super close. And I'm like, we need to go. And that was a lot of fun. So, but then we have a lot of there's actually a lot of burlesque in Arkansas. So there's like 3 or 4 troops and here and there. So if you want to see burlesque when you're in Arkansas, there's usually a chance to see some kind of show.
How large is Arkansas? Is that like a state that would take several days to cross? I don't actually know it very well.
No, I feel like you could get from one end to the, I'm horrible at geography, but I feel like you could get through it in I'm just going to say, I'm going to make up some number. I'm trying to think, because if you go from here to like New Orleans, you go through the whole state, and trip is a while. I don't know. We'll just say like 10 hours. I guess I could Google Maps it, but I don't know. It depends on where you're going.
All right, I'm taking a look. Okay. How long does it take to drive across Arkansas? On average, it will take you about 6 hours to drive across Arkansas.
Okay,
but there's also an up and down situation, so I don't know really. I think they're just referring to left to right. So, all right. Is there an Arkansas Burlesque Festival?
There is not.
There's not.
There's not. So there used to be, every year we had, this went on for 10 years, Ruby Letta Foul Play Cabaret kind of helped spearhead this, but they did this thing called Spot City Sweethearts, and it was a fundraiser for this thing called Low Key Arts for the Valleys. But every February, anyone could sign up and like do burlesque. And there were some people who did like other performance art too, but it was mostly burlesque, and that's where a lot of newbies would start. And so that was kind of like, I feel like in a way, an unofficial like festival type deal, because every year we'd see each other. I did it for like the last 4 years. It was around 3 years. So there was that, but then that ended, and then the pandemic happened, and so yeah, and then there's just everyone trying to refigure out life. So
what did you do during the pandemic? Did you do the virtual stuff?
Yeah, so I filmed one thing for a show, and I don't think that ever ended up panning out. But the local newspaper had like this whole like quarantine video thing where they wanted people to make videos and submit them. So we did one where we're all playing, like, we called it Royal Flush, I think, or no, Royal Blush. And we had like all playing poker on FaceTime, and we did this whole thing. Well, it won. one of the category it was in. And so we were like, this is kind of fun. What if we do like a burlesque type movie and do a drive-in? So we were crazy, and we were all like, we can do this. And so we worked with some local musicians, because you had to obviously make sure it's music you can have the rights to. So we did public domain stuff, then we used a lot of local artists, and we filmed little music videos, and they were burlesque style. So yeah, it was called the Cinema Cabaret. We have 2 of them. We did like that, and then our Halloween show we do every year, which is the Halloween Hangover. We were like, we have to do it. It's the 5th year at the time. And so we did like a spooky one, and we used like music we could use, and we filmed a bunch of stuff. Mainly did it like my apartment, Betty's backyard, one business let us use our parking lot. Like, unfortunately,
are those saved anywhere? Are they anywhere to watch?
But they're not anywhere where you can like really see them right now, because we're trying to figure all that out. Okay. But it was a really cool experience. We learned a lot about ourselves, but it also, I don't know, it was really fun. And that kept us all like going during the pandemic, because we were like, that's who we were only around with each other really for a while. And, we couldn't do shows, but we're like, we got to create. So we did that. And, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work, but because I don't know if you've ever filmed anything, that's a lot of work in itself. But if you're creating like a whole act into film, like, I don't know, it's really wild what we pulled off. And we worked with some other burlesque artists too, and then like local. It was just a really cool thing for the first one, because it was all local, and that was like, everyone trying to help each other out. And then a local brewery in town, they let us use our parking lot, and so everyone could like sit and drink in their car and watch us get naked, and everyone would like honk when they liked what they saw. It was really fun. It was a lot of fun. So it was cool.
This was all recorded and then put in one, and basically, as you said, a film. So there wasn't a live component to it. There wasn't a.
No, the host was all pre-filmed. Like RMC at the time, he had little bits he did, and then one of Betty's really good friends, they helped edit it for us and put it all together. And then Zelda Zeitgeist, who dances with us, and they're a stage kitten, but they directed the whole thing, because they have a film studies background. And then like Betty's husband, he did all our music. And so, like I said, we all have our little things we can do. And then like we were all building our own props and setting up the set design. And so it was just it was a fun experience. But would I do it again for the right amount of money? Because it's a lot of work. But by that time, you had no other creative outlet, So that was like really, that I look back on that and I was like, well, that was some fun stuff. But yeah, I really hope that one day we're able to show up to the whole world, because it was a cool experience. So.
But you didn't do any like Instagram lives or anything like that?
There's a little bit. I did some of that, but not really. Those movie things we decided to do end up taking so much time. Right. Like we got to, I don't know, like I think one day we filmed for 12 hours, and before that it was like 12 hours to set everything up. And like, it's like, so.
This is Viktor Devonne, and it is time for you to submit your video for consideration. The Silver Tusk Awards is presenting a brand new category for 2024, Favorite Video Performance. You can submit a finished burlesque video of any style, any type, whether it's a one-take wonder, whether it's edited up, if it's music video style, whatever. It can be a freshly made video, or updated from a previous one, and it can even be a video made from the before times, during lockdown, or whatever. You send it to us, and it will go on the ballot for Favorite Video Performance. The finals not only will be featured during the show and be voted on for the final winner, but each of them will get $125 for the broadcast rights. Go to silvertuskawards.com for more information and to fill out the form. Thanks! Well, how long did it take you to get back to live performances again? Was Arkansas opening up early, or did they take a long time?
Doing whatever they wanted. Our first live show wasn't until, so we did the Sweethearts, which would have been February 2020. And then we had a bunch of stuff planned, and that ended up, we had a show the weekend that everything kind of like March 14th-ish, whatever, when everything kind of shut down. That all got canceled. And we did those movies that following, we started working on those like that summer. But our first one was Halloween, like October 2021. Because there was a burlesque show that August, and we went to that, and we're like, okay, this is a vibe in this theater. There's space and all that. And so we did that, and then we did that show, and then we started kind of just getting back to the swing of it. Now I feel like things are really full throttle. But so
is True Grit, do they have, you have a home venue, or do you move around?
We used to have a home venue. So
Okay.
we had a home venue, and then the pandemic happened, and that changed all that for us. And then we had another home venue that was actually a private venue, and it was such a sweet setup, but it got sold. But they're really big supporters of us. They're awesome. That was an awesome setup. That gave us a lot of like growth in ourselves, I feel like, because we had our own space, and it was just a shell. It was a wedding venue is what it was used for. And we just were able to do what we wanted, and we ended up getting our own lights. Like right now we have enough stuff, we could have a show in a parking lot. Like we have, so that's kind of, now we made it to where we can just do our show wherever we need to, if we need to. But we have a new venue in town that we are doing a show at. I don't know if it'll be the home venue, but it's where it's called 5 Star Productions, and it's like this little like, it's because they're doing the film festival stuff. It's like a movie screening, and they have like theater seating and stuff. So we're doing that. So we're just kind of hopping around to just for now. So
What is the Halloween storyline going to be like? Where are you going to be for that?
So this Halloween one is kind of different than the past ones we've done because it's our 10th year. So we're doing half the show is Halloween, and then half the show is going to be like 10-year acts. So they won't all be spooky. So if you're not all of a spooky person, it won't be too freaky. But so my wolf act is making an appearance. So that's what we're going for this time. So
Does True Grit, from what I've seen, and again, I've only met y'all briefly. I imagine that most of the vibe is pretty spooky. At the very least, highly costume stylized. So you're taking on, again, archetypes and characterizations from either horror or from mythology or what have you. That's would that be a fair assessment that that's often the vibe?
That's fair. Yes, very fair.
What else do you get into besides the ooky-spooky? Do you have a quote unquote classic act?
Yeah, I kind of do. I have, and I'm working on something that's very classic right now. I'm staring at it, but we'll keep that a secret for a little while. But I have an act it's actually the very first, we're gonna say the first I did with the troupe. We will not talk about the very first burlesque act I ever did. I mentioned that earlier. That was horrible. But I'm a big fan of Lana Del Rey, and so I have an act to her song Lolita.
Okay.
And so I have a big flower boa, and I have this big pink long kimono thing on, and I have flowers underneath, and it is more, and I move pretty, like I do a lot of like more technical dancing in it, like chaînés and leaps and jumps, and I have a little flower crown I wear. So it's a little more femme too, a little bit. Or elegant and flowy, and it's not like, look at me, it's a little more like, look at me, I'm gonna steal your man. No, so
You're a pretty princess, yes.
Yeah,
certainly not Daddy Buns there. Certainly
no Daddy Buns there. No. So that's so funny. So that act probably is more classic, and I'm doing that for the 10th anniversary show because it's going to have a huge glow up from what it was. So, yeah.
Do you still have audience members that have traveled with you that whole time?
Yes, we have. I have had friends that have stuck around this whole time. Shout out to all of you. And I'm going to give this one person a shout out because they have literally followed us, and it's kind of funny. We've all crossed paths with her, but shout out to Jessica Poe. She's been a huge supporter of ours the whole time, and so we have tons of people who've come to like from the beginning and stuff, and it's been really cool to like hear them be like, oh, y'all's glow up is just awesome. And I'm like, yeah, we're finally getting to perform in a big space. Like, I love performing in a dive bar, don't get me wrong, because I will say performing in different sections, like different spaces, I like them all for different reasons. You know, the intimacy, or if you're on a big stage, I like that because then you get to convey your story more and stuff. So yeah, it's been cool to have people follow us the whole time, and then, you know, just kind of see it. Now we still have people who are new to us. Like our last show we did, there were people who had never been. They're like, "Wow, we didn't know there was burlesque here." I'm like, "Yeah, we've been here for a decade. Hey, we're the hidden gem of Fort Smith," is what we always say. So
Who is in charge of marketing or making sure that your name gets out there?
um all of us, we have a website and stuff, and we've gotten better about getting flyers up. Like we already started hanging flyers up for our Halloween show, you know, and then just trying to make sure we have the right audience graph on Facebook going, or on all the social media. So we all kind of do that. We all kind of share posting things like that and stuff. So
Do you have like places that are very cool with flyering and
yes,
things like that? You have a good
yes,
relationship with? Good.
we kind of have like a running list, and I've been keeping some in my car too. And if I go anywhere that looks like it's a lot of people over 21, I'm like, "Are you 21? Here, you should come to this." So, because there's a lot of places I frequent in town, and they know, you know, a lot of people know we do it. So that's one, just word of mouth is really the way you go. And when we used to do shows downtown, I didn't feel like you had to advertise quite as much because people are downtown. So you'll get people who just stumble on in.
Mm-hmm.
But the last place we had, it wasn't in Fort Smith. It was in a town called Greenwood, which is right outside of Fort Smith. But some people are like, "Oh, that's so far to go," you know. And so when you're not in the hub of downtown, you do have to promote a little more. But I like that because I like being able to pre-sell tickets and kind of seeing what's coming in versus having a show back in the day when you're just hoping people are going to show up.
I know.
I hope more than 10 people come.
Walk-in traffic is tough. I mean, it's hard to get people out, for one thing. Do you think that have you noticed that, having performed before and after lockdown, that it's a different feeling?
Yes. I think it's more people that want to go because they already kind of, you know, they know. And then I think people are getting a little better now, but I think people now just kind of pick and choose what they want to do. You know, I mean, for a while I didn't want to go out and do anything either, but I would miss that performance for people.
It's rough. I mean, I guess the idea of just being so exhausted from the constant trauma of life in America.
Yes.
Like every day there's something else. I mean, eventually it's sort of hard because escapism, you can stay home and escape. There are things you can get food delivered to you, you can put on streaming, you can cuddle up with a blanket and just or your tablet and just say, "I don't need to deal with the world." Escapism doesn't require nightlife anymore, and that's rough. That's rough. It's I don't think that's the problem with nightlife, though. I think that's the problem with everything else.
Yeah.
The nightlife is still good. The nightlife is still quality. It's that everything from 9 to 5 sucks.
Right. And then people are mentally drained, don't want to go out and do things. So
Yeah. Ugh, a mess. Well, so what other things do you get into? Are you a gamer, or do you have other passions besides burlesque and dance?
No, I'm just kidding. So I do like some other things, but right now it's just like costuming has consumed my life here recently. So I really have gotten to where the last like year or so I really like love stoning, and I've gotten like pretty good and efficient at it. So I do that a lot because I can't sit still ever.
You stone the fishnets? You stone those tights?
No, those I'm still buying, but everything like right now when I don't want to say what I'm working on because it's for something that me and Penny are entered this King and Scream Queen contest deal. It's kind of like Dracula type based, but we're doing that in the middle of October 11th actually, and so I'm working on something for that to get in my more pageant era. We'll see how it goes. But so I've been working on that. But other than that, I love going to the movies. That's one of my favorite things to do. I have a little popcorn bucket I pay for at the beginning of the year. It's like $20, and then I get to go to the movies every time, and it's $5 to fill that bitch up. I get 2 big bags, and you can dump your popcorn in it and put your own butter on it because I like to do like Popcorn, butter, popcorn, butter, popcorn, butter. So you can have
The
the best
layering
drink.
is important. Yes.
You make the best popcorn. I'm like, yeah, because I'm OCD about it. It has to be a certain way. That's why I buy this bucket. So I like going. I love going to the movies, especially scary movies. That's like one of my favorite things. I was there opening night when Scream 6 came out, and went and watched it again in 3D, which it wasn't all that in 3D, but I went and watched it 2 times in a row. And then I do like to fish. That might surprise some people, but when I was younger, I used to fish a ton. Or I went fishing a few times before it got so hot. But other than that, if I'm not doing that, I'm just like costuming and I've been trying to stay active, like whether it's jogging or walking. So
Fishing,
but
it's so outdoorsy.
it is. I can get a hook out of a fish's mouth. Give me some. I can do it with no gloves too. Come on, I'm Butch. Like, we're in a masculine era. No.
Exactly. We appreciate versatility around here.
Yeah.
It's yeah, I used to go fishing with my father. So I was born in Connecticut, and so we had like a seaside sort of
Okay.
availability to us. And I don't remember when that stopped exactly. It was never like we never did like the boat fishing. It was always pier fishing.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
that was the situation there. But
Yes.
I'm not an outdoorsy person, so that probably didn't help.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know my dad and stepmom have some land and there's a pond on it. And so when I was younger, I was an angsty teen and I didn't want to go over there or whatever because it was in Greenwood where there was just not a lot. And so, because, there wasn't really, the internet was still newish and cell phones were still newish and all that. So I'd go and fish on the dock every morning until it got dark. Like, that's what I did. So I went back out this summer and got to fish up there. It's nice because it's like a little private land. And I have family that lives around there. So it's not like you're out in the woods necessarily.
Sure.
Like,
Are you catch and release, or are you eating all that fish?
I'm catch and release. I did the last time I went. We caught some of it and kept it that we're going to end up cooking, but because it was getting overran with bass, so we're trying to get some of them out of there. Because when you have a pond, you have to monitor what's in there because it will get over.
Oh, Oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Held in there, then anything won't grow. So, but there's some catfish in that pond. There's a bass in there. There's some little they're either some people call them perch or crappie. Those are in there, and so because I like fishing with like minnows, I can hook a minnow. Ping, yeah.
Do you cook?
So I do cook. Yeah.
Are you good at it?
I think I am. I've had people tell me I'm good at it. I also am a big sweets person, so I have like a few staple things I make. Like when I go to parties, they're like, "Yeah, make that." I'm like, "Okay, cool."
Oh, like a baking situation?
Yeah. So there's this thing it's like cheesecake sopapilla. It's so easy, but
What is it?
It's crescent rolls, cream cheese, and you add some sugar to it, and then you put crescent rolls on top, and then you put butter on top, and you put cinnamon and sugar on top, and you put it in the oven so it cooks like a sopapilla, and then it's really good. It's so good. But I've
Sounds like a diet plate. Yes,
it is. Yes, and you also add jam to it. And that's kind of makes it a little more different. Like if you want to put jelly or jam in it. So that's always a hit. And it's good with like honey on it. And they're good cold or warm. I don't know. I love sweet. I love sweets. It's bad. I have a disappointment on Wednesday and I'm sure they're going to yell at me. But no, I've been slacking a little bit, I feel like.
Well, when you first adopted the name Honey, where did that come from? Why Honey? Speaking of sweet.
There's a few reasons I kind of feel like, because I had people always like, oh, honey, like always honey me my whole life, especially like older women. And I was just kind of like, well, we can go with honey because I'm cute and it's kind of fun. And so that's added that. And then it's funny, speaking of my name in general. So, I just started doing festivals. My first festival was the Tulsa Burlesque Festival 2022.
Oh,
and
okay.
Then that was the first time I ever did a festival.
Okay.
And so it's been interesting. And then I did Show Me this year, and then we did Tulsa again.
Mm-hmm.
But at Show Me, I didn't know really a lot of people at all either. And no one knows me yet. So they just, first impression is you hear my name, Kevin Honey-Bunz. Well, everyone thinks they're getting this. We thought we were going to get pop diva, bubblegum princess, and you gave us goth daddy realness. And, because I did my vampire act and I don't smile. And which, if anyone wants to, the vampire act we're talking about is on YouTube. But I don't smile in an act, not one time. You know, I'm very like angry and pissed off and broody and masculine, and then I get off stage, I'm like, hey, Honey-Bunz, you know? So it's kind of funny. People have this perceived notion of who you are based on your name. So it's kind of, that's been cool to see, like, what it gives, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Are you hoping to make more festival visits? Hoping to travel more? Or are you focusing more regional? Okay.
No, I want to do some more festivals just because it's been really nice, like getting to meet, you know, other people. And it's also been nice to, you know, I've got to be around more male performers, and that's been really good for my mental. Like, it's just been nice to geeky on that because, you know, it's just cool to like talk about costumes and stuff. Cause I don't know, it's just, I want to do more because I just want to keep learning and growing and meet more people. I did get to teach too when I did show me, and I love teaching. That's so much fun. So it's a lot of fun to teach.
More movement
So,
class type stuff?
I did an act development class. So it was just about how to like develop a character and make it convey on stage. Because I think that's one of the hardest things sometimes when you have an idea and you're trying to conceptualize it. You know, is it going to convey what you're doing? Is it going to convey to the audience? Is your story going to make sense? Is your character going to make sense? And that takes time. Like, so I taught the little act development class, and that got a good response, and it was so much fun. And, you know, I just talked about like how you can develop a character, and then, you know, different ways to move. You know, like if you're a certain animal, you need to move like that animal, or if you're, you know, a certain emotion, you're going to move a certain way. So, but I also teach, I've done movement classes and stuff too, and I love doing like choreography and stuff. Like, I don't know, it's fun. I love performing, but it's fun to like do something for someone else and then see them do it.
Yeah.
It's like a proud moment, you know? So.
Well, it sounds like you have the temperament to not only be an instructor, but to be an evaluator and then see what progress that they are making. So
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I thank you for spending some time with me and letting me learn a little bit more about the process and your history.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing what you got going on in the future. I'll make my way to Arkansas. Just tell me when. Just
yes. Well,
I'd love to work with y'all.
There's so many people that we've met that we're like, we want them and them and them, but we've just got to get a good little home venue. I think after this Halloween show, I'm thinking 2024 is I have a feeling we're gonna be seeing a lot of. And we have an airport, so you know it's you know, and it's cheaper to fly into Northwest Arkansas, and that's only like 45 minutes away. I'll come pick you up.
Okay.
You know, so but I'm hoping, you know, next year we can start, you know, because we've made some good connections and I've got to meet some awesome people. But yeah, I'm planning on just doing more shows and more traveling, and I have a list of some festivals I'm going to apply to, and so it'll be fun. So
excellent. Well, I look forward to finding out what's coming and learning more about the troupe. I'm catching them all. I got you, I got Penny, and then we'll see who I get next.
Yes, I can give you a list if you need it.
Tell the folks at home the ways that they can keep in touch with both you and the troupe.
Yeah, so you can find the troupe. We're on Facebook and Instagram. It's just True Grit and Grind Burlesque, and then we have a website which is True Grit and Grind burlesque.com. I am on Instagram and Facebook. Instagram, I'm just Kevin Honey-Bunz with a Z instead of an S, and then it's TGG. And then Facebook, here's a little different. My original burlesque account got hacked like 3 years ago, and they said they don't think it's fake. It is. It's not me anymore. It was hacked. It's not me. So if you go to request me on Facebook and you type in Kevin Honey, there's two Kevin Honeys. The one with a rainbow fan with a fishnet in his mouth, don't friend request that. I'll never accept it because I can't get into it. The other one will have a more updated photo. I think right now is my wolf act on there. I'm half naked, howling at the moon. So, you know. Yeah.
That's how I will always see you.
Yes, but I'm just Kevin Honey-Bunz I'm just Kevin Honey on Facebook.
Okay.
And then the buns is like in parentheses on my name. So this is kind of confusing. But Instagram is where I am mostly.
Predominantly.
So,
excellent. Have you found that they've been either shadow banning you or giving you issues with all the buns?
Yeah, well, see, mine's set to private because I don't want my dance kids finding it. And so I don't feel like I run. So I don't feel like I feel like I get the most attention when I post on my story, and that's what I try to do the most. I feel like if I just do a post, I don't get as much. It's like because I'm private, and then I think shadow banning and all that type of, and the algorithm's so weird. So
engagement is hard.
It is hard. It is hard. It is hard.
Well, thank you again. I will include in the footnotes all the ways that those folks can find you. And one day, yes, we will trod boards together one way or another. But I look forward to seeing how you and the troupe thrive.
Thank you.
So, thank you, Kevin, for being on.
Yeah, of course.
Folks at home, thank you for listening. And happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
We Burlesque the Podcast, created, developed, and edited by Viktor Devonne. Podcast artwork by Logan Laveau. We Burlesque the Podcast cover art photography by Atticus Stevenson. Theme song, On a 45 by This Way to the Egress, used with permission. All incidental music via Pixabay under the expectation of fair use. Please visit WeBurlesquePodcast.com for notes on this and every other episode. Follow We Burlesque and Viktor Devonne on just about every platform, and support the podcast via patreon.com/We Burlesque. Don't got the cash? Please follow, subscribe, and give 5 stars on every platform you can get your hands on. It really does help. All original material is owned by Viktor Devonne and White Elephant Burlesque Corporation. All other material is property of their respective copyright. No infringement, while likely, is intended. This episode and all episodes thereafter are in memory of Lucky Charming. Miss you, friend.